A message from a hidden number lit up. Come home.
Right now.
Your children are in danger. I rushed inside. My wife stood pale, trembling, my brother guarding the stairs. Stay down here, bro. It's wrong, really wrong. My wife sobbed. They force me. Please, don't check their rooms. I climbed anyway, and saw the unthinkable. What if the person who ruined your life wasn't just your betraying wife or your treacherous business partner, but a shadowy puppet master who spent years orchestrating your downfall, all because of a secret you didn't even know existed? The digital clock on my Audi's dashboard glared 3:47 p.m. when my phone vibrated, jolting me out of the adrenaline high of another successful negotiation for Riker Construction. 15 years. 15 years of relentless, grinding work building that company from absolutely nothing. I glanced at the unknown number, already assuming it was another contractor. Then the message flashed across the screen. Your house. Now your kids aren't safe. My blood ran cold. Absolute zero. I didn't even think. I called Sophia. No answer. Called Leo, then Chloe. Straight to voicemail. My briefcase landed with a thud on the conference table as I sprinted to my car, breaking every single speed limit between downtown Portland and our Lake Oswego estate. The tires shrieked as I pulled into the driveway, my gut twisting at the sight of Sophia's Range Rover and my brother Owen's beat-up pickup truck. Owen was supposed to be in Seattle until next week. My heart hammered against my ribs. Something was profoundly wrong. I burst through the front door. The grand foyer, usually so welcoming, now felt like the entrance to a mausoleum. The house was eerily silent, save for hushed voices drifting from the living room. Sophia. I roared. Leo? Chloe. I rounded the corner. Sophia stood rigid beside the fireplace, her face utterly drained of color. Owen was at the bottom of the staircase, a human blockade. Ethan. Owen said, palms raised. You need to calm down, man. Where are my kids? I demanded, my eyes darting to Sophia's smudged mascara, her trembling hands. They're fine, Owen insisted. But don't go upstairs. It's not what you think. Sophia lurched forward, her voice a desperate plea. They made me. Please, Ethan, don't look in their rooms. A chill, colder than death, ran down my spine. Who made you do what? Neither of them answered. My resolve hardened. I shoved past Owen, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Sophia's desperate pleas echoed behind me. I pushed open Leo's door, empty. Then Chloe's, also empty. Finally, I reached the guest bedroom at the end of the hall and twisted the knob. What I witnessed was unimaginable. My children, Leo, 17, and Chloe, 15, sat bound to chairs, duct tape across their mouths, eyes wide with terror. Standing over them was a man I recognized instantly. Marcus Miller, my business partner and supposed friend of 12 years. Ethan, Marcus said, cool as ice, lowering the gun he'd been holding. Right on time. What the hell is this? I roared, lunging forward, only to feel Owen grab me from behind. Easy, Marcus warned, raising the gun again. This is a conversation long overdue. Leo and Chloe struggled against their restraints, muffled screams tearing at my heart behind their gags. I forced myself to appear calmer than I felt, shifting into the negotiator mindset that had built my empire. Let my kids go, Marcus. Whatever this is about, it's between us. Marcus laughed, a hollow, chilling sound I'd never heard from him before. It's about family, Ethan. Specifically yours. Sophia pushed past me, tears streaming down her face. I didn't have a choice, Ethan. He threatened the kids. Marcus motioned with his gun. Show him, Sophia. Show your husband what you've been hiding. With shaking hands, Sophia pulled a manila envelope from behind a dresser and handed it to me. Inside were photographs, dozens of them spanning back years. Sophia and Marcus, together intimately. The timestamps showed a relationship that had been ongoing for nearly a decade. 8 years, Ethan, Marcus said. 8 years I've been sleeping with your wife while you build us an empire. The revelation hit like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. 8 years. Chloe, I whispered, looking at my daughter, my supposed daughter, with new eyes. Her features, which I'd always attributed to Sophia's side, suddenly took on a different, darker cast. Marcus's eyes gleamed with malice. DNA test results are in there, too, he confirmed. Leo's yours. Chloe isn't. Owen's grip on me loosened. I just found out today, Ethan. Sophia called me when Marcus showed up with a gun. I came to help the kids. And why tell me now? I asked Marcus, my mind racing to process this betrayal while simultaneously calculating how to get my children, at least Leo, to safety. Because you're pushing me out, Marcus snarled. The Mitchell contract. You're restructuring to minimize my stake. After everything I've contributed, you contributed nothing but lies. I spat. I built Riker Construction. You rode my coattails. Marcus pressed the gun to Chloe's temple, causing her to whimper behind the tape. You think you can just discard me? That my daughter should grow up calling another man father? In that moment, rage crystallized within me into something cold and focused. I would get my family to safety. Then I would destroy everyone involved in this betrayal, even if that included my wife of 20 years and the girl I'd raised as my daughter. What do you want? I asked, my voice deadly calm. New terms, he dictated. 50% ownership, full partnership, and acknowledgement of Chloe as my daughter. Behind us, sirens wailed in the distance. Marcus's eyes widened. You called the police? He demanded of Sophia. I didn't, she began. But Owen cut her off. I triggered the silent alarm when I first got here, he admitted. I was trying to buy time. Marcus panicked, waving the gun between us. In that split second of distraction, I charged, tackling him to the ground. The gun discharged, the bullet splintering the ceiling as we wrestled. I slammed his wrist against the hardwood until the weapon clattered away. Police stormed the house moments later, finding me with my knee pressed into Marcus's throat, his face turning purple, my children still bound in their chairs, and my wife and brother watching in horror as 15 years of restrained violence emerged all at once. As the officers pulled me off Marcus, a clarity I'd never known before settled over me. Every person in this room, except Leo, had betrayed me, and I would never, ever forgive any of them. The next 48 hours passed in a haze of police statements, lawyer consultations, and uncomfortable hospital visits. Marcus was arrested for kidnapping and assault. Sophia, after extensive questioning, was released pending further investigation into her role. I moved Leo and myself into the Four Seasons downtown. While I processed what had happened and what would come next, Chloe stayed with Sophia at her sister's place, a development that brought me no pain. Only cold indifference. You should eat something, Leo said, watching me stare out the hotel window at the city lights below. At 17, he suddenly seemed older, more perceptive. You haven't had anything since yesterday. I turned to my son, my only true family now, and managed a grim smile. I'm not hungry, Dad. He hesitated. What happens now? With Mom and Chloe and everything. I sat beside him on the plush hotel sofa. Your mother and I are done. There is no coming back from this. And Chloe? His voice cracked slightly. Sister or half-sister. They'd grown up together. Marcus's attorneys will push for paternity rights, I said flatly. Which works for me. I have no interest in raising another man's child. Leo flinched at my coldness. But I couldn't soften this blow. The ruthlessness that had made me successful in business would now guide my personal life as well. Mom's called 6 times, he said, glancing at my silenced phone. She can call 1,000. I won't answer. My phone buzzed again. Not Sophia this time, but my lawyer, Daniel Adams. What do you have for me, Daniel? I asked, stepping onto the balcony for privacy. Marcus made bail, Daniel informed me. His family's got money, and Sophia's been to see him. The news should have shocked me, but nothing could penetrate the icy resolve that had formed around my heart. Did you get what I asked for? Yes, Daniel confirmed. Complete access to the company financials, personal accounts, all communications, and I've drafted the divorce papers with the terms you specified. And I pressed. And it's brutal, Ethan. She gets nothing. No alimony, no property, minimal child support for Chloe that will end when paternity is established. You're invoking the infidelity clause in your prenup and adding criminal conspiracy. Good, I said. File it tomorrow. And the other matter? Daniel paused. The private investigator starts tomorrow. Full surveillance on all of them. But Ethan, are you sure about this? Revenge won't bring. I'm not interested in your personal advice, Daniel. Just your legal expertise. After hanging up, I returned inside to find Leo asleep on the couch, his face troubled even in slumber. I covered him with a blanket, my hand lingering on his shoulder. I promise you, I whispered, when this is over, we'll rebuild. But first, I'm going to make every one of them pay. That night, I created a new note on my phone titled simply The List. On it, I wrote 4 names: Sophia Riker, Marcus Miller, Chloe Miller, Owen Riker. Beside each name, I wrote a single word: unforgivable. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, the same one that had started this nightmare. Satisfied with what you found? The truth hurts, doesn't it? This is just the beginning. A friend. I stared at the message, a new realization dawning. Someone else was involved. Someone who had wanted me to discover my wife's betrayal. But who and why? The game was more complex than I'd thought, but I'd always been a quick learner. 3 weeks after what Leo had taken to calling the incident, I sat in my newly rented penthouse office downtown, surrounded by evidence boards and computer screens. The walls displayed surveillance photos, financial records, and timelines, a war room dedicated to understanding the full scope of the betrayal. My private investigator, Ava Carter, a former FBI agent with a reputation for ruthless thoroughness, spread new photos across my desk. Marcus and Sophia met again yesterday, she informed me, tapping a particularly damning image of them embracing outside a lakeside cabin. They're not even trying to be discreet anymore. And Owen? I asked, reviewing the other photos. Still playing both sides. He visits you, then reports back to them. Classic middle child syndrome. Can't pick a team. I pinned the new photos to the appropriate board. 3 weeks of investigation had revealed a betrayal far deeper than just an affair. Financial trails showed Marcus and Sophia had been systematically siphoning information about my clients and projects for years, allowing Marcus to swoop in at crucial moments with solutions that made him look indispensable. What about the text? I asked Ava. Any leads on who sent the original message? Rosalind shook her head. Burner phone purchased with cash, but I'm still working facial recognition on the convenience. Store footage. The mystery texter continued to send messages, always revealing new betrayals, always signing off as a friend. Their identity remained the most intriguing puzzle. My phone rang. Leo's school. Mr. Riker, this is Principal Davis. There's been an incident with Leo. He's physically fine, but he's been suspended for assaulting another student. I arrived at the school to find Leo sitting outside the principal's office, knuckles bruised, face hard with an anger that mirrored my own. He deserved it, Leo said immediately. Noah Miller was running his mouth about Mom and his Uncle Marcus. Said her whole family was a joke. Marcus's nephew, of course. Principal Davis emerged, looking grave. Mr. Riker, given the circumstances, we're suspending Leo for 3 days. But considering the provocation and his previously spotless record, there will be no further action. In the car, Leo stared out the window. Are you mad at me for defending myself? Never. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. But we don't let emotions control us, Leo. We channel them. Like you're doing with those boards in your office? He challenged. Mom told me you haven't responded to a single message about visiting Chloe. She cries about it. Chloe isn't my concern anymore, I said flatly. She was your daughter, for 15 years. She doesn't even know Marcus, and she's terrified of him. I pulled into a parking lot, turning to face my son. What exactly did your mother tell you? That she made a mistake a long time ago, but she never stopped loving you? That Marcus manipulated her? That she wants to fix things? I laughed bitterly. 8 years isn't a mistake, Leo. It's a choice made thousands of times. Every morning she woke up next to me was a fresh lie. Leo's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. It's Mom again. She says she needs to talk to you, something about threats she's receiving. Convenient timing, I observed, but this might be useful. Tell her I'll meet her. Public place. Tomorrow noon at Cardinal's restaurant. As we pulled back onto the road, my phone chimed with another text from a friend. Looking in the wrong direction, Ethan. The betrayal goes deeper. Check the lake house safe. A friend. The lake house safe contained only important documents and some family heirlooms. I'd already checked it after the incident. Nothing had been disturbed unless... Change of plans, I told Leo. We're going to the lake house. In the master bedroom of our vacation property, I entered the code to the wall safe behind the Monet reproduction, Sophia's favorite painting. Inside, everything looked untouched. Property deeds, insurance policies, my grandmother's jewelry. But something felt wrong. The stack of documents seemed thinner. I removed everything, checking each document against my mental inventory. That's when I noticed it. The false bottom I'd installed years ago had been disturbed. The secondary compartment where I kept my most sensitive information was empty. Gone were the detailed plans for Riker Construction's next 5 years, including proprietary building techniques I developed. Gone was the external hard drive containing client information and project specifications worth millions. Gone was the key to a safety deposit box containing bearer bonds, my emergency fund for Leo's future. Someone took everything, I murmured. Leo stood in the doorway. Dad, look at this. He handed me his phone. On the screen was a text from Chloe. Leo, I'm scared. Marcus keeps asking about Dad's projects and gets angry when I don't know anything. Mom cries all the time. Please help us. I stared at the message, pieces falling into place. This wasn't just about an affair or paternity. This was corporate espionage meticulously planned and executed over years. And now they had my playbook for the future of my company. What do we do? Leo asked. I pocketed his phone. We spring the trap and let them think they've won. Cardinal's restaurant occupied prime real estate overlooking the river, its timber and glass architecture a testament to the Pacific Northwest aesthetic. I arrived precisely at noon, choosing a table with clear sight lines to all exits. Sophia arrived 7 minutes late, the delay calculated to make me wait, a power play I recognized from our marriage. Thank you for coming, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Despite everything, she was still beautiful. Honey blonde hair falling in waves around a face that had once been the center of my world. You mentioned threats, I said without preamble. Sophia's eyes darted around before she reached into her purse, sliding a folded paper across the table. These started coming 3 days ago, slipped under my sister's door, left on my car. I unfolded the paper, printed in large block letters. I know what you stole. Return it or suffer. Any idea what they're referring to? I asked, keeping my expression neutral. No. That's why I'm terrified. I haven't stolen anything. Her hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. I think Marcus might have enemies, people who know about us. And how is Chloe handling all this? I asked, watching her reaction closely. Pain flashed across her face. She misses you. She doesn't understand why you won't see her. I think she understands more than you give her credit for, I countered. Has she been spending time with Marcus? Sophia hesitated. He wants to bond with her, but she refuses. Ethan, regardless of biology, you're her father. The only one she's ever known. I leaned forward. Tell me about the safe at the lake house, Sophia. Her eyes widened slightly, a tell she'd never been able to control. What about it? Someone emptied the hidden compartment. Took everything of value. I didn't know there was a hidden compartment, she protested. Lying still comes easily to you, I observed. I showed you that compartment on our 10th anniversary when I put your grandmother's necklace in there for safekeeping. Sophia's face crumpled. Ethan, please. Whatever you think happened, it's not what you believe. Marcus, he changed after you started pushing him out. Became obsessive, controlling. He threatened me. threaten the kids. Yet you still sleep with him? I said, sliding my phone across the table to show her the surveillance photos. She stared at the images, color draining from her face. You're having me followed? I'm documenting a criminal conspiracy, I corrected. Corporate espionage, theft of intellectual property, fraud. I never wanted any of this, she whispered. I made a mistake years ago, and it spiraled. Marcus has leverage over me now. What leverage? Financial, she admitted. I've been moving money for him, helping him hide assets from his ex-wife. If it comes out, I could face charges. This was new information useful. And the safe contents. Sophia looked down. Marcus made me tell him about it. Said he needed insurance against you. I didn't know what was in there, I swear. Our food arrived, neither of us having ordered. The waiter placed salmon for her, steak for me, our usual orders at this restaurant. Sophia looked confused. I took the liberty, I explained. Old habits. This small gesture, remembering her favorite meal, accomplished exactly what I'd intended. A flicker of hope crossed her face. She thought she was making progress, that my resolve might be softening. Ethan, she said, reaching for my hand across the table. We built a life together. 20 years. That has to count for something. I allowed the contact briefly before withdrawing. It counted for everything. That's why your betrayal can never be forgiven. Her eyes filled with tears. What about Chloe? Will you see her at least? She's innocent in all this. No one is innocent, I said coldly. But I'll consider it on one condition. Anything, Sophia said quickly. Give me the contents of the safe. Everything Marcus took. She hesitated. He keeps everything locked in his home office. I don't have access. Find a way, I insisted. Or I'll proceed with charges against both of you. As we finished our meal in tense silence, my phone buzzed with a text from Leo. Uncle Owen just showed up at the penthouse. Says he needs to talk to you urgently. Perfect timing. The pieces were moving exactly as planned. I have to go, I told Sophia, signaling for the check. Think about what I said. You have 48 hours to get those materials back. As I stood to leave, she grabbed my wrist. Ethan, there's something else you should know. Those threatening notes. Marcus is getting them, too. Someone else is involved. Someone who knows everything. I nodded, as if this was news to me. 48 hours, Sophia. Then I go to the FBI. Owen was pacing my penthouse living room when I arrived, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Leo sat on the couch watching his uncle with undisguised suspicion. Thanks for coming, Owen said nervously. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy, I replied, pouring myself a scotch. What's so urgent? Owen glanced at Leo. Maybe we should talk privately. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of my son, I insisted. Owen ran a hand through his hair, a gesture we shared, inherited from our father. Marcus is unraveling Ethan. He thinks someone's trying to destroy him. Karma's a bitch, I observed coldly. This is serious. He's paranoid, drinking heavily. He's convinced you're behind the threats. The break-ins at his office. I raised an eyebrow. Break-ins? Someone ransacked his home office 2 nights ago. Didn't take anything valuable, just papers, files. He's installed security cameras everywhere now. This was news to me and concerning. Someone else was moving pieces on the board. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Owen looked pained. Because I'm worried about Chloe and Sophia. They're staying with him now. Marcus insisted. Said they needed protection, but I think he's just keeping them under control. Leo stood up. Chloe is with him? She told me she was at Aunt Clarissa's. Marcus picked them up yesterday, Owen confirmed. Sophia didn't want to go, but she always does what Marcus wants in the end. I finished bitterly. Owen approached me, his voice lowered. There's more. I found something in Marcus's desk when I was at his house last week. A draft of new partnership papers for Riker Construction dated 3 years ago. He's been planning to take control of the company for years. Why show me this now? I demanded. You've clearly known about their relationship. I only found out recently, Owen insisted. After it all blew up. And I've been trying to figure out whose side to take. The fact that you had to think about it tells me everything I need to know, I said dismissively. Owen handed me a USB drive. Marcus's financial records, bank accounts, including offshore ones, transactions between him and Sophia going back years. And something else, payments to someone named Julian Vance. Large payments. I took the drive, suspicious of this sudden cooperation. Why the change of heart, Owen? My brother looked ashamed. Marcus approached me last month, wanted me to testify in the custody case for Chloe, to say I'd witnessed you being abusive to Sophia over the years. Leo sucked in a breath. That's a lie. I know, Owen acknowledged. I refused. That's when I realized how far he was willing to go. This isn't just about an affair anymore, Ethan. He wants to destroy you completely. After Owen left, I plugged the USB into my computer, scanning the contents while Leo watched over my shoulder. Can we trust him? Leo asked. Absolutely not, I confirmed. But the information might still be useful. The financial records revealed exactly what Owen had described, plus something more troubling. Julian Vance had received over $2 million from Marcus in the past 5 years. Payments labeled only as consultation. Who's Julian Vance? Leo wondered. I shook my head. I don't know, but I intend to find out. My phone chimed with another text from a friend. Vance is the key. He's been watching you for years. Cabin 17, Mount Hood Forest. Midnight tomorrow. Come alone. A friend. I stared at the message, a cold feeling settling in my stomach. This mysterious ally knew too much, which made them dangerous. What is it? Leo asked, noticing my expression. I showed him the message. Someone's been manipulating the situation from the beginning. I think it's time I find out who. You can't go alone, Leo protested. It's obviously a trap. Every trap can become an opportunity, I told him. But you're right. I'll need backup. I called Ava, explaining the situation. I don't like it, she said after hearing my plan. But if you're determined, I'll position a team in the woods surrounding the cabin. First sign of trouble, we move in. That night, as Leo slept in the guest room, I reviewed everything we'd learned. Someone named Vance was receiving payments from Marcus. A mysterious texter knew about Vance and wanted to meet. Owen had suddenly decided to help me after months of fence-sitting. Too many variables, too many unknown players.
My phone rang.
Sophia. I can get the files, she said without greeting. Marcus keeps everything in a safe in his basement. I know the combination. When? I asked. Tomorrow night he'll be at a client dinner until late. I can bring everything to you around midnight. Midnight, the same time as my meeting with a friend. Not possible, I told her. I have an engagement. This is our only chance, Ethan, she insisted. He's talking about leaving the country, taking Chloe with him, using his money and connections to destroy you legally before he goes. I considered my options.
Fine.
The penthouse. 11:30 p.m.
Come.
Alone. After hanging up, I texted Ava. Change of plans. Need you at my penthouse at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Sophia is bringing the stolen files. Her response was immediate. What about the cabin meeting? I'll handle it, I assured her. Just be ready for a potential double cross at the penthouse. I went to bed that night with my mind racing, sensing that everything was coming to a head. Tomorrow would determine whether my plan succeeded or failed catastrophically. What I couldn't know was that someone else had been monitoring my communications all along, anticipating my every move and preparing a counterstrike that would change everything. The next evening, rain pounded against the penthouse windows as I prepared for Sophia's arrival. I'd sent Leo to stay with his best friend's family for the night, ignoring his protests. Whatever happened, I didn't want him caught in the crossfire. At 10:45, Ava arrived with 2 of her team members, former military contractors who now worked for her private security firm. The building's secure, she informed me, checking her weapon before concealing it under her jacket. We've got eyes on all entrances. If this is a setup, we'll know before they make it to the elevator. And the cabin situation? I asked. My associate Martin is positioned there with thermal imaging. If anyone shows, we'll know. At 11:27, the security desk called to announce Sophia's arrival. Ava and her team took positions out of sight while I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, my back to the door, a deliberate power position. A minute later, the elevator dinged. "It's open," I called, not turning around. Footsteps approached. Too heavy for Sophia. I spun around to find not my wife, but Marcus standing in my living room, Owen beside him looking deeply uncomfortable. "Surprised?" Marcus asked, smirking. "Not particularly," I replied, maintaining my composure. "Where's Sophia?" "Safe," Marcus assured me. "Unlike you." He pulled out a gun, the same one he'd used to threaten my children. Owen's eyes widened. "Whoa, Marcus, you said we were just going to talk." "Plans change," Marcus said dismissively. "Your brother needs to understand his position." I kept my face impassive, knowing Ava was watching, waiting for my signal. "And what position is that?" "One of complete defeat," Marcus declared. "I have your wife. I have your daughter, well, my daughter. I have your company's future plans. By this time tomorrow, your clients will be jumping ship to my new venture." All that effort, I observed. 8 years of sleeping with my wife, stealing my intellectual property, paying off this mysterious Vance person. Tell me, was it worth it? Marcus's expression faltered. "How do you know about Vance?" "I know everything, Marcus," I bluffed. "Every offshore account, every payoff, every blackmail scheme. The question is, does Sophia know what you've really been up to?" Owen edged away from Marcus, sensing the situation deteriorating. "Marcus, maybe we should just go." "This isn't." "Shut up." Marcus snapped. "Your brother destroyed my marriage years ago. Took clients that should have been mine. This is justice." I laughed coldly. "This is pathetic. You couldn't build your own success, so you decided to steal mine, including my wife and child." Marcus raised the gun higher. "You always thought you were better than me. The self-made man who started with nothing. Did you ever tell Sophia that your first major client came through my family connections? That without me, you'd still be pouring concrete foundations? Is that what this has been about?" I asked. Wounded pride? "It's about what's mine," Marcus shouted. "The company should have been equal partners from the beginning. Instead, you took majority control and treated me like an employee." I stepped closer, ignoring the gun. "Because that's what you are, Marcus. An employee. A mediocre one at that." Marcus's hand trembled with rage. "You think I won't shoot you? Right here?" "If that was your plan, you would have done it already," I observed calmly. "Now, put the gun down before my security team puts you down." On cue, Ava and her associates emerged from hiding, weapons trained on Marcus and Owen. Marcus's face contorted with fury. "You think this changes anything? I still have everything I need to destroy you." "Not quite," came a female voice from the elevator. We all turned to see Sophia standing there, clutching a large leather portfolio. Behind her stood Chloe, eyes red from crying. "What are you doing here?" Marcus demanded. "You were supposed to wait in the car?" "I'm done waiting," Sophia declared. "Done hiding. Done being controlled." She stepped forward, placing the portfolio on my coffee table. Everything he took from the safe. All of it. Marcus lunged for her, but Ava's associate intercepted him, disarming him with practiced efficiency. "You stupid bitch." Marcus spat at Sophia. "After everything I've done for you, you've done nothing but manipulate and threaten me for years." Sophia replied, her voice steady despite her evident fear. "Used my one mistake to control my entire life."
She turned to me.
"I can't undo what I did, Ethan. But I can stop it from destroying anything else." Owen stepped forward. "Ethan, I swear I didn't know about the gun. I thought we were just going to talk." "Save it." I cut him off. "You chose your side long ago." Chloe approached me hesitantly. "Dad? I mean Ethan, not now," I interrupted, turning to Ava. "Get Marcus secured. Owen, too." "You can't hold me here," Owen protested. "Watch me," I replied coldly. As Ava's team zip-tied Marcus and Owen, My phone buzzed with an alert from Martin at the cabin. Subject approaching cabin on foot. Male, approximately 60 years old, carrying briefcase. The mysterious friend had arrived at the meeting point. I showed the message to Ava. I need to go. Now, she asked incredulously. What about them? She gestured to our captives. Keep them secure. I'll be back in 2 hours. I turned to Sophia and Chloe. You two stay here as well. We're not finished. Ethan, please. Sophia began, but I was already heading for the elevator. Dad, wait. Chloe called out, the word dad hitting me like a physical blow. I hesitated, then continued without looking back. As the elevator doors closed, I heard Marcus's desperate voice. He's going to see Vance. Stop him. The final piece was about to fall into place. The drive to Mount Hood took just over an hour. The forested roads slick with rain and treacherous in the darkness. I kept the headlights off as I approached the cabin area, parking a quarter-mile away and proceeding on foot with only a small tactical flashlight to guide my way. Martin materialized from the trees like a ghost. Subject entered the cabin 20 minutes ago. No other movement since. Anyone else in the area? Not that we've detected, he confirmed. But visibility is poor in this weather. I handed him my phone. If I'm not out in 30 minutes, call this number. I'd programmed FBI agent Lopez's direct line, a former client who owed me a favor. The cabin was small and rustic, a dim light visible through rain-streaked windows. I circled it once, confirming no other exits beyond the front door, and a small bathroom window too narrow for an adult to escape through. Taking a deep breath, I knocked firmly. It's open, called a voice from inside. I entered cautiously, my hand near the concealed weapon at my waist. The cabin's interior was spare. A table, 2 chairs, a small kitchenette, and a wood stove providing both heat and the room's only illumination. Seated at the table was an older man with silver hair and aristocratic features, dressed in an expensive suit despite the wilderness setting. Before him sat a leather briefcase and a bottle of bourbon with 2 glasses. Ethan Riker, he greeted me. Finally, we meet in person. I'm Julian Vance. I remained standing. You're a friend? He smiled thinly. I prefer to think of myself as an interested observer. Please sit. We have much to discuss. I prefer to stand, I replied coldly. Why have you been sending me those texts? What's your connection to Marcus? Vance poured himself a drink. Marcus Miller is merely a pawn. A useful idiot with resources and a convenient weakness for your wife. You orchestrated this, I realized. The affair, the betrayal, all of it. He laughed. Give me some credit, but not too much. The affair was organic enough. Your wife was lonely. Marcus was attentive. I simply nurtured the situation once I discovered it. Why? I demanded. What could you possibly gain from destroying my family? Vance studied me for a long moment. Does the name Thomas Riker mean anything to you? The question caught me off guard. My father. He died when I was 12. Construction accident. Is that what your mother told you? Vance asked, his tone suddenly sharp. A chill ran through me. What are you talking about? Vance opened his briefcase, removing a file which he slid across the table. Thomas Riker didn't die in an accident. He was murdered after he discovered that his construction company was being used to launder money for certain criminal enterprises in Portland. I stared at the file but didn't touch it. You're lying. See for yourself, Vance insisted. Police reports, autopsy findings suppressed by a corrupt medical examiner. Witness statements that mysteriously disappeared from evidence. What does this have to do with me? I asked, though a terrible suspicion was forming. Everything, Vance said simply. Because the man who ordered your father's murder was my brother, Arthur Vance. And you, Ethan, have spent the last 15 years systematically destroying every business connection my family ever had in this state. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. I never targeted your family. I didn't even know. Of course, you didn't know consciously, Vance interrupted. But subconsciously, you were drawn to the same industries, the same clients. One by one, you took contracts from companies connected to our interests. Cost us millions. So this was revenge, I concluded, for something I didn't even know I was doing. Vance shook his head. Not revenge. Insurance. I needed leverage over you before you destroyed everything. Marcus provided that opportunity. By sleeping with my wife and fathering a child? I asked incredulously. The affair was convenient, Vance explained. But what I really needed was access to your business plans, your client relationships. Marcus was motivated by greed and ego, the perfect combination for manipulation. I finally sat down, processing this information. You've been paying Marcus to spy on me. I've been paying Marcus to be my eyes inside your company, Vance corrected. To identify which of your moves might impact my family's interests. The affair with your wife was just a bonus. It gave him access to your home, your personal life, and the texts that started all this. I asked, why expose them now? Vance smiled coldly. Because Marcus became a liability. Too emotionally involved, too unstable. I needed you to know what was happening so you could handle the problem for me. You expected me to kill him, I realized. I expected you to destroy him, Vance clarified. Whether that destruction was literal or figurative didn't matter to me. But I knew your reputation. The ruthless businessman who never forgives a betrayal. I stood up abruptly. You misjudged me. I'm not a murderer. Perhaps not, Vance conceded. But you are a destroyer, Ethan. You'll dismantle Marcus's life piece by piece. You'll leave him with nothing. And once you're done, I'll step in to offer him a way out in exchange for certain considerations. And what about Sophia? Chloe? Were they just collateral damage in your game? Vance shrugged. Family is always collateral damage in men's wars. You should know that better than most. Why tell me this now? I demanded. You could have remained in the shadows. Because we've reached an inflection point, Vance explained, leaning forward. My brother is dying. Cancer. He wants to make amends before the end. Including with the son of Thomas Riker. Amends? I repeated incredulously. He had my father killed, and has regretted it every day since, Vance claimed. He wants to meet you. To explain. To offer restitution. I laughed bitterly. There is no restitution for murdering someone's father. There's the truth, Vance countered. Isn't that what you've been seeking all along? The truth behind every betrayal. He was manipulating me. I knew it, yet the possibility of finally understanding what had happened to my father, the real story, not the sanitized version my mother had told me, was almost irresistible. What happens now? I asked. Vance closed his briefcase. That depends on you. Marcus is finished. We both know that. Your marriage is over. But your company remains. Your son remains. And now you have the truth about your father. What do you want from me? Nothing right now, Vance said, standing. Consider this information a gesture of good faith. My brother is at Providence Hospital, room 412. He has perhaps a week left. Whether you visit him is your choice. As Vance moved toward the door, I called after him. This doesn't change anything. If what you're saying is true, your family destroyed mine first. Vance paused in the doorway. There's something you should know about Chloe. Marcus isn't her father. My heart seemed to stop.
What?
DNA doesn't lie, Vance said. But Marcus's ego does. He convinced himself and Sophia of his paternity because it served his purposes. Gave him control over your wife. Then who? She's yours, Ethan. Always has been. With that parting revelation, Vance disappeared into the rain, leaving me alone with a file full of explosive truths and even more questions than before. The drive back to Portland passed in a blur, my mind reeling from Vance's revelations. If what he claimed was true about my father, about Chloe, everything I thought I knew had been built on lies. I called Martin. Follow Vance. I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he contacts. Already on it, he confirmed. He's heading back toward Portland. Next, I called Ava. Any developments? Marcus tried to escape, she reported. Got himself tasered for the effort. Owen's been cooperative, mostly crying about family loyalty. Sophia and Chloe are waiting in the guest room. And the portfolio Sophia brought? Everything seems to be there. All the files, the hard drive, even the safety deposit box key. I ended the call, then dialed a new number. Sophia's obstetrician, Dr. Helen Green. Despite the late hour, she answered. Dr. Green, this is Ethan Riker. I apologize for calling at this hour, but it's an emergency. Mr. Riker, is everything all right with Sophia or Chloe? I need to verify something about Chloe's birth, I said directly. Was a paternity test ever conducted? There was a long pause. Mr. Riker, you know I can't disclose. Doctor, my family is falling apart based on a claim about Chloe's paternity. I need to know the truth. Another pause. There was no paternity test because there was never any question. You were present for the birth. The blood typing matched.
There was no reason to test.
But if Marcus Miller claimed paternity, that would be scientifically impossible. Dr. Green interrupted. Chloe has a rare blood antigen that appears in your family line. Marcus couldn't possibly be her biological father. Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by pure, unadulterated rage. They had lied about the most fundamental thing a parent could imagine, his own child's paternity. Thank you, doctor, I said, ending the call. By the time I reached the penthouse, my course was set. This ended tonight. I found Marcus and Owen still secured in the living room, Ava's team keeping watch. Sophia and Chloe emerged from the guest room when they heard my arrival. Everyone sit down, I commanded, my voice leaving no room for argument. This ends now. Chloe looked terrified.
Sophia resigned.
Marcus remained defiant while Owen seemed to have aged years in the hours I'd been gone. I've just come from a meeting with Julian Vance, I announced, watching Marcus's face drain of color. I know everything. The arrangement you had, the payments, the spying. Ethan, I can explain, Marcus began. Shut up. I cut him off. You've said enough lies to last a lifetime. I turned to Sophia. Did you know Chloe is my biological daughter? Sophia's eyes widened in genuine shock.
What?
No, Marcus said. Marcus lied. I stated flatly. I just confirmed it with Dr. Green. Chloe has the same rare blood antigen as my father and me. Marcus couldn't possibly be her father. Chloe gasped, looking between us all in confusion. So, you are my real dad? I've always been your real dad, I told her, my voice softening slightly. Biology just confirms what was always true. Marcus shook his head desperately. No, that's impossible. Sophia told me. I never told you anything. Sophia cried. You convinced me. You showed me supposed evidence. I nodded to Ava, who cut Marcus's restraints. You have exactly 1 minute to explain yourself before I have you arrested for corporate espionage, kidnapping, and fraud. Marcus stood, rubbing his wrists. Vance approached me 5 years ago, said he needed information about your business dealings, offered a substantial payment. It seemed harmless at first, just reporting on contracts, clients. And my wife? My daughter? Were they just bonus prizes? I asked coldly. The affair started before Vance, Marcus admitted, but he encouraged it, said it gave me leverage. When Sophia got pregnant the second time, he suggested I claim paternity, created false evidence. You manipulated me for 15 years, Sophia whispered, horror dawning on her face. Used my guilt over one mistake to control everything. I loved you, Marcus insisted. Everything I did was for us. Enough, I interrupted. Here's what happens now, Marcus. You're going to sign over your entire stake in Riker Construction. You're going to confess to corporate espionage in writing. Then you're going to leave Portland and never contact my family again. And if I refuse? Marcus challenged, a hint of his old arrogance returning. I smiled coldly. Then I release everything I have on you and Vance to the FBI. His brother might be dying, but the Vance family still has plenty to lose. How long do you think you'd survive once they know you've been exposed? Marcus paled. You wouldn't. Try me, I invited. I've already arranged for Agent Lopez to receive everything if I don't cancel the automated email by morning. Defeated, Marcus slumped back into his chair. What choice do I have? None, I confirmed. I turned to Owen. As for you, brother. Owen looked up, eyes pleading. Ethan, I was trying to protect the family, to keep things from exploding. By playing both sides? By considering lying about me being abusive? I shook my head in disgust. You're no longer welcome in my home or my business. The family cabin is yours. Sell it.
Keep it.
I don't care, but we're done. Ethan, please. Owen began. We're done, I repeated firmly. I turned finally to Sophia and Chloe. Sophia, I'm filing for divorce. I'll provide fair settlement terms, but our marriage is over. The betrayal might have been built on Marcus's lies, but you chose to continue it for years. Sophia nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I never expected forgiveness. Just please don't shut out Chloe. I looked at my daughter. Truly my daughter. Her face so like mine in its stubbornness and intelligence. Chloe stays with me. If you want to contest that, we can let her decide. Chloe stepped forward. I want to stay with you, Dad. If that's okay. It's more than okay, I assured her, allowing myself the first genuine smile in weeks. Dawn was breaking as Ava's team escorted Marcus away to sign the necessary paperwork. Owen left without another word, the weight of his choices visible in his slumped shoulders. Sophia agreed to move to her sister's while divorce proceedings began. As the penthouse emptied, I found myself alone with my children, both of them. Leo, having returned early that morning. What happens now, Dad? Leo asked. I looked at the Vance file on the table, thinking of the dying man in Providence Hospital who had ordered my father's murder decades ago. Now we rebuild, I said, placing an arm around each of them. And we're a member who we can trust. My phone buzzed with a final text from Vance. Closure awaits. Room 412. I deleted the message. Arthur Vance could die without my forgiveness. Some betrayals were simply unforgivable. Outside, the rain had stopped. A new day was beginning. Not a clean slate. I would never forget or forgive those who had betrayed me, but a fresh chapter written on my terms. Let's go home, I told my children. The real work starts now. The silence in the car was thick, heavy with unspoken questions. Leo sat shotgun, staring out at the pre-dawn glow painting the sky. Chloe was in the back, huddled against the window, her quiet so profound it felt like a scream. We weren't going back to the penthouse. That place was tainted. Instead, I drove to a property I owned in the foothills, a modern cabin I'd used occasionally for solitary retreats, never thinking it would become a sanctuary. It was remote, surrounded by old-growth forest, a place where the air itself felt clean, untainted by betrayal. As we pulled up the long gravel driveway, the cabin looked serene, almost unreal. Mist hung low over the trees, and the only sound was the chirping of crickets. Inside, it was minimalist, warm woods and stone, with massive windows overlooking the wilderness. This is different, Leo said, his voice raspy. Chloe just nodded, still not looking at me. They were both exhausted, emotionally raw, and frankly, so was I. We need to talk, I said, after making sure they were settled in their rooms, separate rooms, a small mercy. Chloe's door remained shut. Leo came out a few minutes later, sitting on the edge of the living room sofa, arms crossed. What about? He asked, his eyes wary. Everything, I replied, sitting across from him. About what happened. About your mother. About Chloe. About me. I took a deep breath. First, what you witnessed tonight. That's not how I usually operate. I lost control. I don't want you to think that's normal or acceptable. Leo just stared. Dad, I saw you. You almost killed him. Yes, I admitted, my voice flat. Because he put a gun to your sister's head. He threatened you both. He systematically dismantled our lives. There's a rage inside me, Leo, a cold, calculated anger that I usually keep locked down. But tonight, it broke free. I paused, meeting his gaze. I regret that you had to see it. But I don't regret wanting to protect you. Ever. He shifted, a muscle working in his jaw. Chloe, she's really your daughter?
Yes.
Dr. Green confirmed it. Marcus Miller lied to your mother, convinced her that Chloe was his because it suited his agenda. He manipulated Sophia for years, using her guilt. Mom, she knew about the affair for 8 years, Leo said, his voice barely a whisper. How could she do that to you? To us? I don't have all the answers for that, son, I confessed.
She made a choice.
A series of choices. Ones she'll have to live with, and ones I can't forgive. The words felt like stone in my mouth, but they were true. The divorce will proceed. She won't have anything to do with Riker Construction, and her settlement will be minimal. It's the consequence of her actions. And Chloe, he asked, looking towards her closed door. She grew up thinking Marcus was her dad. And now it's you. How is she supposed to feel?
Confused.
Angry. Scared. I acknowledged. She has every right to feel all of that. My job now is to prove to her that she has a father who loves her, who will protect her. A father she can trust. You pushed her away, Leo reminded me, his tone. Accusing. When you thought she was Marcus's. You said she wasn't your concern. The words hit hard. He was right. That cold indifference I'd felt, it was a defense mechanism, a terrible one. I made a mistake, Leo. A huge one. I allowed Marcus's lie to define my relationship with her. I let my anger at Sophia and Marcus cloud my judgment. That won't happen again. Ever. We talked for hours, long after the sun had fully risen, cutting through the remaining mist. I told him about Julian Vance, about the possibility of my own father's murder, about the deeper layers of corporate espionage. He listened, his eyes wide, occasionally asking a sharp, insightful question that reminded me how much he had grown up in these few weeks. When I finished, the weight in the room seemed to lift slightly, replaced by a fragile sense of understanding. Dad, Leo said, standing up. What are we going to do about the company? The stolen plans? Marcus and Vance aren't just going to disappear. No, I agreed, a hard glint in my eyes. They're not. But for the first time, I have clarity. I know who my enemies are, and I know who my family is. And the game has changed. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity, all orchestrated from the cabin. Daniel Adams, my lawyer, arrived, looking perpetually stressed but efficient. Ava Carter and her team set up a secure comm center, a stark contrast to the rustic setting. Marcus Miller is officially charged with kidnapping, assault, and corporate espionage, Daniel reported, flipping through a stack of papers. He's still claiming Sophia manipulated him, but her testimony, combined with the evidence we seized, paints a very clear picture. He's looking at significant time. And Sophia? I asked, my voice devoid of emotion. The DA is still considering charges related to the financial maneuvering and aiding corporate espionage, Daniel confirmed. She claims she was coerced, threatened, which is partially true, based on our investigation. Partially, I repeated. She had a choice. She understands the divorce terms, Daniel continued, avoiding my gaze. She's not happy, of course. But with the threat of criminal charges hanging over her, she's not fighting anything aggressively. She's agreed to relinquish all claims to Riker Construction. We're negotiating a modest settlement that acknowledges her 20 years, but it's pennies compared to what she would have received. Good. And Chloe's custody? Chloe chose to live with me, I said firmly. Sophia isn't contesting it, provided she has visitation. Given the circumstances, I'm allowing it for now. Chloe needs to navigate this on her own terms, too. Ava, meanwhile, was focused on Julian Vance. My team followed him back to Portland. He's been meeting with several high-profile individuals, some with questionable ties, all in perfectly legitimate settings. The man is a ghost. Clean as a whistle on paper, but I know he's pulling strings. What about Arthur Vance? I asked. Providence Hospital, room 412, she confirmed. Terminal cancer, just as Julian said. Visiting hours are restricted, but I can get you in, Mr. Riker. If you want to go. I looked out the window at the dense forest. Not yet. I need to understand Julian's game first. Arthur is a dying man. Julian is the architect of chaos. I'll deal with the puppet master before the puppet. Leo and Chloe started homeschooling, a temporary measure to give them stability and shield them from the media frenzy that had inevitably erupted around the Riker family drama. Chloe was still quiet, but she was starting to come out of her shell. She spent hours drawing, lost in her own world. I made a point of spending time with her, just talking about anything but the chaos. We cooked meals together, took long walks in the woods, and I started telling her stories about my own childhood, about my father. Stories that felt more real now that I knew the truth might be different than I'd believed. One evening, Chloe approached me, her eyes uncharacteristically direct. "Dad, can I ask you something about my other dad?" My heart clenched. "Marcus Miller?" She nodded. "I don't understand why he would say I was his. Why would he make Mom lie?" "Because he's a manipulative, selfish man, Chloe," I said gently, choosing my words carefully. "He wanted to control your mother, and he used you to do it. He used to lie to try and take something that wasn't his, something precious." "But why me?" "Because you were proof of his hold over Sophia. And because he knew it would hurt me the most. He wanted to hurt me, and he saw you as a tool." I paused. "It had nothing to do with you, Chloe. You are innocent in all of this. What he did was wrong, evil even. But it doesn't diminish who you are, or who you've always been to me. My daughter." I hugged her then, a real, tight hug, and for the first time, I felt her relax into it, a silent tremor passing through her. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. Owen, true to form, tried to appeal to me. He showed up at the cabin unannounced a week later, looking haggard. "Ethan, please. You can't just cut me off. We're brothers. You chose to stand by while Marcus held a gun to my children's heads." "Owen," I reminded him, my voice calm but unyielding. "You knew about the affair, about the stolen plans, for years. You played both sides, not to protect the family but to protect yourself. And when push came to shove, you almost let me die to save your own skin. You even considered lying about me abusing Sophia to help Marcus with a custody case. That's not family, Owen. That's self-preservation at its most contemptible." "I was scared," he pleaded. "Marcus was dangerous. He threatened me. Everyone was scared, Owen. But not everyone folded. Not everyone enabled him. You made your choices. Now live with them. The cabin is yours. That's all you're getting from me." I had Martin escort him off the property. The look on Owen's face, the genuine heartbreak, almost swayed me. Almost. But the image of his raised palms, his hesitant words while Marcus threatened Chloe, burned too brightly. Some betrayals leave scars too deep to heal. The real challenge began with Riker Construction. The theft of the 5-year plan and client data was a massive blow. Marcus, even from jail, had managed to leak some information to competitors, causing immediate panic among clients. My first order of business was damage control. I called every major client personally, reassuring them, bringing Daniel Adams with me to discuss new security protocols and legal actions against Marcus and any company that profited from the stolen data. "It's a bloodbath out there, Ethan," Daniel said during one of our calls. "Competitors are circling like sharks. But your personal outreach is working. They see you're still in control, still fighting." "I built this company from nothing, Daniel," I growled. "I won't let it fall because of one snake and his puppet master." The new 5-year plan for Riker Construction became my obsession. I worked day and night, Leo often sitting beside me, offering surprisingly astute observations. "What if we pivot to sustainable construction, Dad?" he suggested one night. "The market's exploding, and it would give us a fresh identity, distance us from everything." His idea was brilliant, bold, and entirely aligned with where the industry was heading. It wasn't just about rebuilding what was lost, it was about building something better, something new. But Julian Vance remained a ghost in the machine. Ava's surveillance turned up nothing concrete, just a pattern of legitimate business meetings. He was too smart, too careful. He wanted me to chase him, to act impulsively. He wanted to use me, but I refused to be a pawn in his game any longer. Then came the anonymous tip. A small, seemingly insignificant article in an obscure online journal specializing in historical true crime. It detailed the unsolved murder of a Portland construction executive named Thomas Riker, 35 years ago. Ruled an accident, but with persistent rumors of foul play and organized crime ties. The article was heavily redacted, but one line jumped out at me. Witnesses were reportedly paid off by a figure known only as the Collector, a fixer for the local criminal underworld. The Collector. Julian Vance had called himself an interested observer, a collector of information. My blood ran cold again, but this time it was a focused, burning cold. This wasn't just about my company anymore. This was about justice for my father. Ava, I said, calling her immediately. I need you to dig into every detail of my father's death. Every single witness, every police report, every person connected to that original investigation. Focus on anyone who disappeared or whose lives suddenly improved shortly after his death. I want to know who the Collector was and if he ties to Julian Vance. The investigation took weeks, a deep dive into cold case files and suppressed records. Ava's team was exceptional, unearthing dusty documents, interviewing retired officers and mob informants who were old enough to remember. The web of corruption was staggering. My father hadn't just stumbled upon a money laundering scheme. He had been actively trying to expose it, going to the police with evidence. Evidence that had mysteriously vanished. His accident was a brutal cover-up. And the man behind the cover-up, the one who orchestrated the payoffs and witness intimidation? Arthur Vance, Julian's brother. My father's murder wasn't some random act. It was a deliberate silencing orchestrated by the Vance family. Julian Vance hadn't merely used Arthur's past to manipulate me. He was just as complicit, if not more so. He had protected his brother, buried the truth, and then used that very truth as leverage decades later. He was a master of exploiting human weakness, a true predator. The news that Arthur Vance was nearing the end of his life began circulating more widely. His family was preparing for a quiet funeral. Julian Vance was a constant presence at the hospital. This was my chance. I'm going to see Arthur Vance, I told Ava. You're going alone? She asked, her concern evident. No, I replied, a chilling smile on my face. I'm bringing the truth with me. I arrived at Providence Hospital, not in a suit, but in a simple dark shirt and trousers, a stark contrast to the somber, expensive attire of the Vance family members milling about. Ava's team was discreetly positioned, ready to intervene if necessary. I bypassed security, walked straight to room 412. Julian Vance was there, standing by the window, observing the city below, perfectly composed. Arthur Vance lay in the bed, a frail shadow of a man, hooked up to a tangle of machines, his breathing shallow. Julian turned as I entered, a faint, almost imperceptible nod of acknowledgement.
Ethan.
I wondered if you would come. I'm not here for a gesture of good faith, Julian, I said, my voice low but cutting through the sterile silence of the room. I'm here for answers. I walked to the foot of Arthur's bed, looking at the dying man who had ordered my father's death. My brother can offer you answers, perhaps even peace, Julian said, his voice calm, betraying nothing.
Peace.
I scoffed. There's no peace for a murderer, Julian. And certainly not for the man who protected him. I pulled out a small, encrypted tablet, projecting images onto the wall, the redacted article, old police photos of my father's accident, the names and faces of witnesses who disappeared or suddenly became wealthy. Thomas Riker, 35 years ago. His company wasn't just laundering money. He was trying to expose your brother. And Arthur here, he had him killed. Arthur stirred, a weak groan escaping his lips, his eyes fluttering open. He looked at me, then at Julian, a flicker of fear, or perhaps regret, in his clouded gaze. You've been very busy, Ethan, Julian said, a genuine edge of surprise in his voice. More thorough than I anticipated. You underestimated me, I corrected. You thought I'd be satisfied with exposing Marcus, that I'd be consumed by personal revenge. But you forgot one thing, Julian. I'm a builder. And sometimes you have to tear down the old, rotting foundations to build something new, something truly solid. I looked at Arthur, my voice hardening. You killed my father. You covered it up. And your brother here. He enabled you, then tried to use that very truth to manipulate me for his own ends. Julian stepped forward, his composure finally cracking. My brother was making amends. He wanted to confess, to offer restitution. Restitution. I laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. For a murdered father? For a lifetime of lies? Your family ruined mine, Julian. You poisoned everything I thought I knew. You created Marcus Miller, used him as your pawn to systematically steal my life's work. You are both parasites. Arthur's eyes, wide with sudden terror, darted between us. He tried to speak, a garbled whisper. No. Ethan, Julian, seeing his brother's distress, stepped closer to the bed. This is not what he wanted, Ethan. He sought redemption. Redemption is earned through confession and justice, not through whispered deathbed apologies orchestrated by his equally corrupt brother. I countered. The police have everything, Julian. Every document, every witness statement, every connection between Arthur, the collector, and the construction rackets. Your family's empire was built on blood, Julian. And it's all coming crashing down. Julian's face, for the first time, showed true fear, a raw, primal emotion. You can't prove all of it. Too much time has passed. I don't have to prove it all, Julian, I said, tapping my tablet. I just have to expose enough to reopen the case, to bring down your legitimate fronts, to connect your brother's past to your present. The DA will be very interested in this. I looked at Arthur, his breath now coming in ragged gasps. This isn't about me or my family anymore, Arthur. This is about justice for Thomas Riker. And it will be served. As I turned to leave, Julian's voice, cold and precise, stopped me. You didn't have to do this, Ethan. We could have worked together. You could have had it all. You thought you could control me, Julian, I said, without turning around. You thought you understood my motivations. But you never truly understood what I was building. And you certainly never understood the depth of my resolve. I walked out of that hospital room, leaving behind two broken men. Arthur Vance, dying with the truth finally exposed. Julian Vance, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. The satisfaction was not the kind I had imagined. It wasn't a roar of triumph, but a quiet, chilling sense of finality. The game was truly over. In the aftermath, Marcus Miller's charges stuck. With the added weight of the Vance family's connections to organized crime coming to light, his legal team crumbled. He was convicted and sentenced to a lengthy prison term, his life irrevocably destroyed. Sophia, facing the threat of charges, cooperated fully. She accepted a minimal divorce settlement, lost custody of Chloe, and faded into obscurity, a ghost of the woman I once loved, consumed by her choices. Owen, stripped of everything, retreated to the cabin I'd left him, a cautionary tale of loyalty misplaced. Riker Construction not only recovered, but thrived. We pivoted to Leo's idea of sustainable, community-focused projects, a new vision built on integrity and transparency. The clients loved it. The company became stronger, more ethical, and, ironically, more profitable than ever before. Leo, now fully engaged, became my right hand, a true partner in every sense of the word. And Chloe. She was the one who surprised me most. She eventually chose to shorten her name to just Chloe, shedding the baggage of a name tied to a false paternity. She started calling me Dad, without hesitation, her previous fear replaced by a quiet trust. She even started talking to Sophia again, on her own terms, a tentative step towards healing a relationship I thought was beyond repair. But she never forgot what Marcus did, or what her mother allowed to happen. Her strength, her resilience, was a testament to the core of who she was, untainted by the lies. One evening, months later, I sat on the porch of the cabin, watching the sunset paint the sky in fiery hues. Leo was inside on a video call with a client, already sounding like a seasoned executive. Chloe was sketching in a notebook beside me, a rare smile on her face. The quiet, the peace, felt earned. It wasn't a perfect ending. The scars remained, deep and indelible, but they were healing. I had sought to destroy those who betrayed me, and in many ways, I had. But in doing so, I had also rebuilt something infinitely more valuable: my family. My real family. And in that, I found a different kind of peace. A hard-won peace, but peace nonetheless. This journey, this absolute whirlwind of betrayal, revenge, and rebuilding has changed me forever. It forced me to confront the darkest parts of human nature and, perhaps, some of the darker parts of myself. But it also showed me the strength of family, the resilience of the human spirit, and the power of truth. If you've ever had your world turned upside down by a betrayal, how did you find your way back? Did you seek revenge, or did you find a different path to peace? I'd love to hear your experiences and how you navigated your own storms. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it.